Hello and welcome to Dose with Grace. I hope you're doing well and taking very good care of yourself. Today, as a continuation from the last video, we will continue with the first chapter of Bhagwad Gita. First of all, I am very grateful to be in this space and to have this wonderful opportunity and privilege to be able to share my beautiful joy and love of Bhagavad Gita with all of you. I'm not going to say what are its benefits. I would only say it is transcendental, it is transforming, it is extremely educating to a very deep level. It is what defines the way we should live our life. And I think when you understand these things, you don't need to say more. So I think to be able to create these videos itself is a huge blessing to me, and I'm extremely thankful to God. I'm extremely thankful to Almighty. I'm extremely thankful to my parents for giving me this kind of a life. I'm extremely thankful to my family, my husband, my children, to be able to give me this privilege of living a life of my dreams, where I can read the things I want, I create the content I want, and I'm able to share it with everyone. I am extremely fulfilled and thankful to Almighty for this kind of a opportunity, this kind of a life, to have this kind of a buddhi, this kind of sanskars, and to have an environment around me that supports and rather encourages this beautiful life that I'm living. So thank you to all. And I'm also very thankful to my late mother-in-law who gifted this Bhagavad Gita to me. It is a very you can see it's very thin, and it has all the adhyay, all the 18 chapters with Mahatma, with the Sanskrit shlokas, all 700 shlokas, all 18 chapters, and with the Hindi translation of those chapters. So it's complete, and yet it is so comprehensive. It is my privilege to receive this from her, and it has been a very beautiful reading for me because it's so easy to understand for me, because I am very well versed with Hindi language. But if you are not very well versed with Hindi language and you would prefer a copy in English, in my last video I have shown 3 different versions of Bhagavad Gita. One in which is in completely English version. The other one is also Hindi version, but it is from a different publisher, and this one is from Geeta Press, Gorakhpur. So today I will be using this to explain, and I think henceforth too. And here, before I start, I would like to also mention a very special thing with you, that I make these videos and I thank you all for watching them, but a big special thank you to my dad, who always mentions these videos to me. Even the last video, that was actually quite a big video, but and I received a feedback from 2 very important people. The one who has actually taught us Bhagavad Gita in the temple, from whom we learned Bhagavad Gita as a cohort session in temple. His feedback is also very valuable to me, and his feedback was that I should try to make smaller videos, maybe 5-minute videos or 3.5 minutes video. I totally respect what he's saying. In today's day and age, nobody watches a long video. However, I think this kind of a content, first of all, is to be received by those who are willing to spend that time and are willing to have that space in their life where everything is not so hurried and so rushed. So with complete humility, I would say that I will continue to shorten this video, but not to that extent. I will try to keep it as reasonable. To um, the person who told me to share my knowledge, whatever I want to, and give it to this world with an open heart, Dr. Richa, I would like to thank her for her feedback and always, sending the most wonderful and positive and divine advice to me. And third, and with a deep, heartfelt thanks to my dad, who said such encouraging words by saying, I watch your videos, and what can be better than your father, encouraging you by saying that he watches my video, and that makes me feel so happy. And I'm sure that he'll be watching this one too. So thank you, Papa. You don't know how much your words mean to me, and I'm very, very grateful to be your daughter. And I think this whole love for spirituality, this whole love for God, and the quest for learning in this field is probably also imbibed from you. So I'm extremely grateful to you, and I love you, and thank you for encouraging me. So let's start with our very powerful, blissful, and energetic Maha Mantras before we begin the first chapter, the first adhyay of Bhagwad Gita. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Thank you for joining back. You know, I'm not a Pandit, not I am a Guru. I'm someone who has read Bhagavad Gita, enjoyed those learnings, is imbibing that in my own life, and is very, very, very happy to share it with you all, because it's not mine. I have received it from the universe, and I'm just being a channel to transport and to let it via me reach all of you. The reason also I'm doing it is to, when I read Bhagavad Gita, I wasn't old, I wasn't in pain, I wasn't suffering, I was just living my life, a girl of 25 years old. And I think this love for understanding and gaining knowledge has always been there in me. And there were snippets of what Bhagavad Gita is. As if you'll watch my previous video, you'll know that it was already there in my consciousness. Maybe in this life, in my childhood, but probably it would have been there in my previous lives too. So, for those who think that Bhagavad Gita is only for those who are suffering, who are in pain, or who are in that stage of their life where they have nothing else to do but to sit in the feet of God to make sure their end life is at least good so that they can get moksha, trust me, it is not. It is for everyone. It is for every age, especially when you are able to read, write, or even when you are able to hear. The oldest form of learning was through Shruti, which was through hearing. Samriti, which is writing, came much later. So even when you're not somebody who can read and write, you can still hear. So playing Bhagavad Gita and listening to it is the most wonderful way to enlighten your mind, to know really how to live life. Everything about life, how to live as a good employee, how to live as a good human being, how to live like as a good colleague, how to live as a good wife, how to live as a good mother, how to live as a good person in society, how to live as a servant to someone. Everything It has knowledge for life. It is absolutely applicable to everything. When I say absolutely, means it doesn't change with time. It has no effect of age. It has no effect of your circumstances. The learnings are universal. They apply to everyone and they do help everyone. And when I'm saying it doesn't have any bar of age, gender, your circumstances, obviously it has no bar of your religion, no bar of your ethnicity, or whether you have had any previous experience of knowing Indian culture or not. And hence, I'm making these videos in English so it can reach a much wider audience of people. So, the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita is called as Arjun Vishad Yog. It is that moment in Mahabharat, which is our history, where two families, or two cousins, two set of cousins, are on a battlefield. Obviously, one who has created the situation to be in the battlefield, and the other one who is there because they have no choice but to defend themselves. And so, in a very simpler words, I would say one family is advocating dharma, and the other family is not in the towards dharma. So we can say adharma. And the Kauravas are sort of the ones who have been in the path of adharma, but they have a very big army of all probably the best known warriors, the most illustrated and well decorated warriors on their side. Also the Narayani Sena of Krishna. And on the side of Pandavas, they are five brothers, along with some relatives and some allies who have complete faith and who are also on the path of dharma. And of course, they are guided by Sri Krishna. In this chapter, the first shloka is said by Dhritarashtra. It's very special because in the entire Bhagavad Gita, you will only see one shloka from Dhritarashtra, who is the father of Duryodhana, the prince of Kauravas. He asks Sanjay. Sanjay is a very illustrated part of the court of Dhritarashtra. He is his advisor, but more importantly, Sanjay is a very wise man, a very enlightened human being. But he is in the court of Dhritarashtra, so he is also with this army. He is not fighting the battle. He is in the court with Dhritarashtra because he has a special power. He has Durdrishti. Durdrishti means he is able to see from sitting in the palace, he can see what is happening in the battle of Kurukshetra with no special lenses, just his own eyes. And he can also hear the conversations in the battlefield. So hence, Dhritarashtra, as soon as he saw that all the warriors are on the battlefield, he has assigned Sanjay to come and narrate to him everything that is going on the battlefield as a worried father, as a concerned father for his own children. So the first shloka says, Sanjay, do tell me what is happening in the battlefield and what all is transpiring. Sanjay tells him that there are both the armies standing facing each other, and then he goes on to illustrate the very respectable names in the army of Kauravas, which gives King Dhritarashtra a lot of peace and a sense of triumph, knowing that such greats are on the side of his son. You can clearly feel the sense of anxiety in Dhritarashtra's voice when he asks, even though it's been so many thousands of years, but when you read Bhagavad Gita, you can relive that moment and visualize how those people in those times lived to teach us the lessons to live life even today. So, as Sanjay is describing the army of Kauravas, he goes on to now explain the army of Pandavas. And with that, he says what is going to happen. That suddenly the kongs are the Shankhnad, the kongs are being blown in the sky, which is basically a, a way to start the battle. It's a signal to convey that we are ready to start the battle. Now, just then, when that happens, Arjun, who is the son, one of the Pandavas, so he is basically a nephew of Dhritarashtra, he says to Sri Krishna that I would like to see both the armies from the center of the battlefield. So, can you please drive the chariot to the center of the battlefield? Now, just to give you a context, Sri Krishna is playing the role of a charioteer here in Bhagavad Gita, in the battle of Kurukshetra as well, in the story of Mahabharata. If we take 2 steps back to explain this context, so when this battle was announced between Kauravas and Pandavas, because that was the only alternative that looked like out of their the way their discussions progressed about taking care of who will be the next king, basically for the kingship. Sri Krishna was in his chamber. He is a very powerful man because we all know the number of demons he had killed from his childhood up to this age. And so both Arjuna and Duryodhana were equally aware of his might, his wisdom, his power, and his transcendental divine powers as well. So they both went to his chamber to ask for his help in the battle, as he is equally related to both of them. So he was lying down and taking rest on his bed. Arjuna and Duryodhan both went up to his chamber, and they had to wait until he wakes up. They didn't want to disturb him from his sleep. Arjuna, being someone who really loved Krishna and adored him from his childhood, but also worshipped him for being such a great and magnanimous, wise person in his life, he sat towards his feet and waited patiently for him to wake up. Whereas Duryodhana, full of arrogance, full of ahankar, full of ego, and full of his self applauding, couldn't bear to sit near the feet of Krishna. He rather sat near the head of Krishna, thinking that this is where I belong to wait for him. So when Krishna woke up, he looked at Arjuna first. Because when you wake up, you look at what is in front. So when he looked at Arjuna, he asked Arjuna, "What do you want?" And then Duryodhana just got up and he got angry and he said, "Why are you asking Arjuna first? I came here first, and as a rule, I should be given the first preference to give a choice what I want from you, to state the choice from my end." Now Krishna knew deep down, as a god, he knew that how much full of arrogance and how much full of ego is Duryodhana. But he had looked at Arjuna first. So he said, but my sight went on to Arjuna first because he was sitting near my feet. So Arjuna will get the first chance to voice his choice. That really ruffled Duryodhana, and in his anger, he just threw a fist. And then Krishna said, look, I was about to ask you, what do you want from me in this battle? Do you want me to be in this battle? Or do you want my huge army, which is probably the most invincible army in the world? But before you take your decision, let me tell you that I personally will not be fighting in the battle. So, whoever side I go, I will not be fighting. I will not be picking up the weapon and fight in that war. And then Duryodhana was like taken aback. He was thinking that I will ask for Krishna because he is so mighty and he has all the powers. But then when he realized that Krishna said, I'm not going to be fighting, I will not even pick up a weapon, he thought then his having him in my army is going to be useless. Then I rather ask for his army. And that is why he was very ruffled to give his choice first. So then Arjuna said, rightfully, Duryodhan actually came into the room before me. He just sat over there. So why don't you let him choose? But by then, greed and lust had completely devoured the brain of Duryodhana. Knowing the choices clearly, he knew which one he'll pick. So he said, I would like to pick your Narayani Sena, your invincible army. And Arjuna said, I am glad because under no circumstances I could choose anything else over you. I want you with me, whether or not you fight, but you besides me is good enough for me to win this battle. So Krishna was very happy. It was very amicably solved. That is why you see he is the charioteer of Arjuna in the battle. He is not fighting from the side of Pandavas. He is only being the charioteer. Now Arjuna requests Sri Krishna to please take the charioteer right in the middle of the army so that he can look at who he's fighting, how big is the army. Like a true warrior, he wants to assess that what is going to be in store for him for next few days. So as Sri Krishna takes him, he puts the charioteer right in the middle and he tells him, he used to call him by the name Parth. Parth is a lovable name for someone who's your friend, and Krishna loved to call Arjuna Parth. So he said, Parth, look, this is the battle. This is the army that you're going to be battling against. And with that, he names a few people. As Arjuna looks at his grandfather Bhishma Pitama, his guru Dronacharya, his cousins, his brothers, his relatives, he begins to start having doubts. And he feels extremely uncomfortable. He starts perspiring. He feels weak in his knees and he tells Krishna that, hey Krishna, what am I doing? What are we doing? Why are we fighting this war? Look, who are the people on the other side? Arjuna was a very lovable child of his grandfather, Bhishma Pitama. Arjuna was the favorite student of Dronacharya. And looking at them right in front of him, he said, I cannot fight with them, let alone trying to win against them. Under no circumstances in my life I can harm them. I have so much gratitude for them. I have so much love for them. And I have so much respect for them. Under For nothing in this world I would like to do something that can make them hurt by me. Definitely not for a piece of land. And he feels completely lifeless. And he says to Krishna that I don't know what is happening. Why are we fighting this battle? All confusions, all doubts, all anxieties. So Vishad is a word which is, they say that in the churning of ocean, Vish had come out, which halahal, which Shivji took, and he kept it, he stopped it here in his throat. That's why we say Shivji's throat is blue. So Vishad is something which is created in you, a sensation that is created in you as if you've consumed a wish, consumed a poison. So sense of paralysis, sense of confusion, sense of bewilderment, a sense of sadness, a sense of complete confusion. And that is the state Arjuna is feeling right now. So I will read a few things from here for you to understand as it is, how it is. So this will be in Hindi for all those people who also understand Hindi. I will just read one line that will sum to you what Krishna says to Arjun after that confusion starts to come. हे पार्थ, इन इकट्ठे हुए कौरवों को देख। उसके उपरांत प्रतापपुत्र अर्जुन ने उन दोनों ही सेनाओं में स्थित हुए पिता के भाइयों को, पितामह को, आचार्यों को, मामा को, भाइयों को, पुत्रों को, पौत्रों को तथा मित्रों को, ससुरों को और सुहद्रों को भी देखा. So here he saw his brothers, he saw his grandfather, his teachers, his maternal uncles, his sons, his grandsons, his friends, his in-laws, and his very close friends. इस प्रकार उन खड़े हुए संपूर्ण बंधुओं को देखकर वे अत्यंत करुणा से युक्त हुए कुंती पुत्र अर्जुन शोक करते हुए ये बोले. So when he looks at all these people, he's full of karuna. Karuna is a feeling of sense of pain that you get out of compassion. So karuna is out of compassion, the love and compassion you have for someone, but then when you see either their loss or you see either their pain, that pain that you get out of that is called karuna. हे कृष्ण, इस युद्ध की इच्छा वाले खड़े हुए स्वजन समुदाय को देखकर मेरे अंग शिथिल हुए जाते हैं और मुख भी सूखा जाता है. मेरे शरीर में कंपन तथा रोमांच होता है तथा मेरे हाथ से गांडिव धनुष गिरता है और त्वचा भी बहुत जलती है तथा मेरा मन भ्रमित सा हो रहा है, इसलिए मैं खड़ा होने को भी सामर्थ नहीं हूँ. हे केशव, लक्षणों को भी विपरीत ही देखता हूँ तथा युद्ध में अपने कुल को मारकर कल्याण भी नहीं देखता. Now, here when we are talking of Arjun, we are not talking of someone who is a very normal human being who can get worried for the result of the battle. Arjuna is looking at all these people and he is not getting scared of the war. It is a totally different feel. Like I said, karuna is not fear. Karuna is pain out of compassion. So if you are someone who's extremely empathetic person, and if you see someone in pain, the pain that is transported to you is called karuna. So here Arjun is not worried that he will lose. That is not the worry that has come to him. It is something else. Arjuna is the world's most glorified warrior. He was called the Shreshth Dhanurdhar, which means the mightiest, the most prolific um, uh, Dhanurdhar means someone who can who is expert in bow and arrow, just like Sri Ram. So he was so good as a warrior that he was almost invincible. And plus, he's on the side of Dharma. And he's with Krishna. What he has to worry about? It is not the worry of looking at people who are so big and mighty and that feeling scared. No. It is about looking at these relationships and knowing that these are the family that I've come from. This is the kula. This is the legacy of people. This is the ancestral legacy that we are about to kill. And that is what is giving him a sense of pain. So here, imagine Bhagavad Gita is being told to someone who is the busiest in the world, the most capable in the world, and right in the middle of his most important assignment. So if you really still question who should read Bhagavad Gita, this is an answer to that question. Okay, so I will just say few more experts to explain this even more. So he says, मैं विजय नहीं चाहता और राज्य तथा सुख को भी नहीं चाहता. So here Vijay means win, victory. So here Arjuna is sure that he will win, but he says, I don't want to win. And I don't want the pleasures. I don't want the success. हमें राज्य से क्या प्रयोजन है अथवा भागों से और जीवन से क्या प्रयोजन है, क्योंकि हमें जिनके लिए राज्य भोग और सुखाधिक इच्छित हैं वे ही ये सब धन और जीवन की इच्छा को आशा को त्याग कर युद्ध में खड़े हैं, जो कि गुरुजन ताऊ चाचे लड़के और वैसे ही दादा मामा ससुर पोते साले तथा और भी संबंधी लोग हैं. इसलिए हे मधुसूदन, मुझे मारने पर भी अथवा तीनों लोगों के राज्य के लिए भी मैं इन सबको मारना नहीं चाहता. तो फिर पृथ्वी के लिए तो क्या ही करना ही क्या है. हे जनार्दन, धृतराष्ट्र के पुत्रों को मारकर भी हमें क्या प्रसन्नता होगी. इन आतायतियों को मारकर हमें पाप ही लगेगा. इसलिए हे माधव, अपने बांधव धृतराष्ट्र के पुत्रों को मारने के लिए हम योग्य नहीं हैं, क्योंकि अपने कुटुंब को मारकर हम कैसे सुखी होंगे. कुटुंब इज योर वेरी immediate family, or you can say the legacy of your family. So your own parents, your own parents' parents, and like that few generations before, and the coming generations that will come forms a kutumb. So he says, even if I get the biggest of the victories, even if I get biggest of the landmass to rule after the win here, I don't want to. Because look at those who are standing in front of me are the ones who are so important. They are my family and they are so important to me, and they have denied all of that they have got to come and stand here for a battle. So what will I gain out of winning from them? And whatever win will be, what will be the use of that win? Here he explains step by step the degradation that can happen through this battle if he wins. When he wins, I mean, he's not writing if he wins. He is writing when I win, I don't want it. लोभ से भ्रष्टचित होकर ये लोग कुल के नाशकृत दोष को और मित्रों के साथ विरोध करने में पाप को नहीं देखते हैं. परंतु हे जनार्दन, कुल के नाश करने से होते हुए दोष को जानने वाले हम लोग इस पाप से हटने के लिए हमें क्यों नहीं विचार करना चाहिए. So first step is, he says, that if we kill the people of our own family, we are being part of sin, paap. This is going to be the first thing. The first step is that we are indulging in a sin, killing our own people. क्योंकि कुल के नाश होने से सनातन कुल धर्म नष्ट हो जाते हैं. धर्म के नष्ट होने से संपूर्ण कुल को पाप भी बहुत दबा लेता है. Now he's saying, when you kill the people of your family, people of your kula, the people who have the same ancestry, then the dharma of that particular ancestry will also end with them. Now when the dharma will end, then this will be the sin not just for me but for the entire kula. The whole ancestry will get under this sin. हे कृष्ण, पाप के अधिक बढ़ जाने से कुल की स्त्रियां दूषित हो जाती हैं, और हे वाष्णेय, स्त्रियों के दूषित होने पर वर्ण संकर उत्पन्न होता है. So now, as we see in many historical battles, that when in the battlefield the one side which gets killed, the other side would go and conquer the land of that of the defeating side, but they also very badly violated the life of that place. The women who were not on the battlefield, they are hale and hearty, living in palaces. They were badly raped or treated with molestation, not given their respectful due, and sometimes forcefully married. As a result, they, totally against their wishes, had to be bearing children of these people who would force them to get married to them. And therefore, this whole process will end up having a very violated set of value system in the next progeny. Sometimes, if the women will be very resistant, they would kill them. But in most times, women relented and they became their queens, and then they gave birth to their children. Now look at, it is so unwillingly done from the women's side. So obviously, the new progeny will not have the dharma, the value system of their own ancestors. And Arjuna is so worried, not just for the people who are on the battlefield, but he is equally worried for the women of the palace, the women of the country, and the children, the older people, the people who are dependent on these working class of men or the warriors. और वह वर्ण संकर कुल घातियों को और कुल को नरक में ले जाने के लिए ही होता है. लोप हुई पिंड और जल की क्रिया वाले इनके पितृलोक भी गिर जाते हैं, और इन वर्ण संकर कारक दोषों से कुल घातिकों के सनातन कुल धर्म और जाति धर्म नष्ट हो जाते हैं. तथा हे जनार्दन, नष्ट हुए कुल धर्म वाले मनुष्यों का अनंत काल तक नरक में वास होता है, ऐसा हमने सुना है. So he's expressing all of his concerns, all of his worries, which are ranging not just from the fact that what we are doing is wrong as people, but what we are doing is wrong is not just bad for us, for our society, but for our entire progeny, for our ancestry. But how deeper it is, the impact is. he's also trying to relate to that and express his grievance on how deep rooted this battle can cause pain, suffering, and damage to the society at large, and that can finish what was established for hundreds of years as dharma, as the righteousness in this space, will all get violated. And when that gets violated, everyone will suffer. Even those who are not directly on the battlefield will suffer. Those who are not yet born will suffer. Anything that will take birth or will be in this space will suffer. And Arjuna is worried for that. And he is expressing his worry to Krishna. And he says, शौक है कि हम लोग बुद्धिमान होकर भी महान पाप करने को तैयार हुए हैं, जो कि एक राज्य और सुख के लोभ से अपने कुल को मारने के लिए उद्यत हुए हैं। यदि मुझे शस्त्र रहित ना सामना करने वाले शस्त्रधारी धृतराष्ट्र के पुत्र रण में मारें, तो वह मारना भी मेरे लिए अति कल्याणकारक होगा। संजय बोले, रणभूमि में शोक से उद्ग्रित मन वाले अर्जुन इस प्रकार कहकर बाण सहित धनुष को त्याग कर रथ के पीछे भाग में बैठ गए। So then he says कि if we are so wise, we have been so well educated in Gurukulas, we have learned so many skills to be called as the rightful successor to the thrones, then as such wise, such equipped, skilled and talented people, what are we doing as a decision? That decision that affects not only us as families, but also our kingdom, our people, their happiness, their comfort, their prosperity. So, if I will not face the Kauravas, if I don't pick up a weapon and fight with them, and in the process they kill me, even that will make me feel better than coming up and killing all of them. Because he feels that these are, because on the other side were all of his ancestors, all of his parentage, all of his gurus, and he felt that he has learned from them. He has imbibed so many values from them. So he felt that killing them would be a far bigger sin than letting himself be killed. So this is the scenario that is set in the first chapter of Bhagwad Gita. And in our contemporary life, in our today's life, I'm sure many of us, and I'm pretty sure all of us, come to many points in our life where we feel confusion, where we feel a doubt in our mind, where we don't know what we are doing is right or wrong. It doesn't happen on certain situations in our life, it actually happens on everyday basis. If your conscience is alive as much as of Arjun. Now, if you really see, this question is not asked by Duryodhan. So if you never feel that you're wrong and you don't have ever any doubts, then probably you're Duryodhan, who's just doing things recklessly and has only one thing in mind, that I should win. He doesn't even see what he's doing, what actions he's taking, are they really worthy of being taken? Arjuna is thinking that it's because his consciousness is alive. And if you really look at it, he has Krishna with him. So when God is with you, slightly you are above the very petty benefits of life. The sense of ego in you is checked. So Arjuna could have gone ahead and started the battle, and knowing that he is the best warrior and the best in bow and arrow, he could have probably killed the whole army and finished the job. But no, he is asking all these questions to himself, and more importantly, he is asking all these Krishna to Lord Krishna himself, because he wants the right guidance. He wants to be educated. And this doubt is created in him because somewhere he is not knowing how to proceed in this situation. Because this situation is so precarious. Just see what situation he is in. But in our day to day life also, when we are taking certain decisions, there are many times those decisions are very similar to the situation that Arjuna is in. But we don't question. Since we don't question, we are not exploring. And if we don't explore, we will not be able to reflect. So this chapter of Bhagavad Gita is a great, great example of knowing that when you are taking a step, when you're getting into something, confusions are normal. Self-doubt is normal. It happens. It happens to the best of the best. It happened to Arjun. And when that happens, you need to go to the right person to ask these questions. Arjuna is so blessed to have Krishna with him in the battle. But are we less blessed? No, because we have this tool, this living Guru with us in the form of Bhagavad Gita. We can read it chapter by chapter and learn what Arjuna, as an enlightened being, learned from Sri Krishna and enlighten our lives. I will encourage all of you to pick whatever version of Bhagavad Gita, whether it's a Hindi version, English version, or if you're very proficient in Sanskrit, that is the best, that is perfect, because that is the Vani of gods. You can read it in Sanskrit. Read it in a group. Try to read it with someone so you can discuss and reflect upon the learnings. Or the way I'm doing, if you want to share it, you can also start your own sharing platform. Maybe if YouTube doesn't suit you, you can do it as a satsang once in a week in your family with your friends. But learn it. Trust me, it is not meant for people who live in villages. It is not meant for people who are old and tethered and have nothing to contribute in life. It is meant for the warriors who are battling every day of their lives. Age is no bar. These learnings are universal and they will benefit you tremendously. I can completely vouch for that. So, with this learning, with this resolve that you will read Bhagavad Gita, let's meet again next time with the chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita, which is far more detailed. So, let's continue this journey of loving, learning, and understanding, and more importantly, living Bhagavad Gita. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.